stand silently with me is the president of the Elkhart chapter of the Army Riders, Steve Yoder, and the treasurer of the American Legion Riders Post 308, present and drape the POWMI flag. I've already screwed up once this morning. It's Steve Comer, not Steve Yoder. I'm sorry, Steve. You may have noticed as you came in here today, this small table. It's set in a place of honor. It's meant to remind us that members of our armed forces are not able to be here, either because they're missing, prisoners, or have paid the ultimate sacrifice. There's several items on this table, and they represent things. I'd like to explain that to you this morning. The table is small. It's frail. It represents the frailty of one prisoner alone against many guards and captors. The tablecloth is white, and it represents for us the purity of their intentions when they answer their nation's call to arms. On the table is a bread plate, and on the bread plate is a wedge of lemon. The wedge of lemon reminds us of the bitterness of their fate, not knowing what the next day or even the next hour might hold. There's also salt upon the plate. That's to remind us of the tears that have been shed by their loved ones and by the prisoners themselves. On the table is a vase with a red rose. The red rose is to remind us that their families love and look for their return. There's a red ribbon upon the vase, and it's to remind us that we are to demand a full accounting from our government for each and every man or woman that we send into harm's way. There's a glass on the table, and that glass is inverted because our comrade is not here today. They can't enjoy the day's festivities or toast with us. There's also an American flag folded 3 corners. That's to remind us that some have given their last full measure of sacrifice for this nation, leaving their bones in some faraway land to enrich the earth where they lie. Also on the table is a Bible. True freedom comes only from love, and it is only through faith in a higher power that prisoners can truly find freedom in captivity. I served in the U.S. Navy for 10 years. How many veterans do we have here today? How many combat veterans do we have here today? Ladies and gentlemen, I can assure you, nobody prays for peace like a combat veteran. We've seen Americans die in defense of our flag. And one thing I can tell you for sure, when we send somebody into a foreign nation to defend America, We do so because it is much better for blood to be shed there than for blood to be shed here. And if they go for us, representing us as a nation, defending us, we owe them something. And the very least that we owe them is to bring them home, one way or the other. The Family Alliance purchases remains from Vietnamese nationals at a rate of about $3,000 per set of remains. They go into a village, they spread a little money around, and they're able to buy information where there was a battle, where there were known dead buried, or an airplane crash, and they're able to go out and exhume those bones and bring them home and identify them. That's not the government paying for that. That's Americans like us paying for that. How many of us today have a POW sticker on our bike or a patch on our vest? Or the American biker is the loudest voice today for POW issues. And I believe that each one of us has a responsibility to talk to our elected officials and to let them know we expect our men and women to be returned home, whether they're alive or dead, so that they can be properly honored and properly buried. One of the things we learn in the military is the code of conduct. And part of that code of conduct is if you're captured by the enemy, you're to expend every effort to cause the enemy to use as much manpower as possible to maintain your captivity. And it goes on and tells you how if you're superior to the person below you, you take command, and if you're below the person above you, you listen to what they say. But it ends with this statement: never lose faith in your fellow prisoners or in the United States of America, because she will spare no effort to see your quick and timely return to your loved ones in your homeland. It's sad. In 1972, at the end of hostilities in Vietnam, there were still 1,900 known Americans. In 1992, with a stroke of a pen, POWs and MIAs, all the MIAs were relegated to KIA BNR, which is Killed in Action, Body Not Recovered. For expediency's sake, we abandoned men. I'm sure some of them didn't want to come home, but those that did, we abandoned. And we need to say enough, not allow it to happen again. We're out here this morning. CMA puts this on so they get a chance to talk to us about Jesus. I'm all right with that. We come here and we do this because we want you to help us in the fight to get a full accounting for every man or woman that we send into harm's way. You are the best hope that POWs and MIAs have. So please, contact your elected officials. Let them know. We want to know where they are and what's going on. Would you observe a moment of silence with me for those that did not come home? Amen.